let's jump into it. So again, I'm the co-founder and president of Feathr. My name is Aiden Augustine. Tell you a little bit myself. Fun fact, I just got married about 2 weeks ago. And because my wife and I are kooky folks who are obsessed with costumes, we had an elaborately themed and costumed wedding. So it was a surrealist circus ball. You can see this is me here in the white, kind of dressed as like a ringmaster, and my wife here in black, kind of dressed as a surrealist goddess. And I could see we kind of had this kooky Alice in Wonderlandy theme going on with the wedding party. So fun times. So just got married a couple weeks ago. On the professional front, like I said, I'm the president of Feathr. We are about a 125-person marketing technology company. We make tools specifically for nonprofits to help do website analytics, digital advertising, marketing automation, influencer marketing or peer-to-peer. So we have a whole software suite for that. We also offer marketing services. So we help nonprofits activate on these tools as well. We have about 1,000 nonprofits that we work with in varying capacities, lots of great causes. And yeah, this is what we do, right? Digital marketing for nonprofits. This is our shtick. So structure this as 2 halves. The first half, I'm going to give 5 ideas specifically around digital advertising. And because digital advertising has become such a prominent part of all digital marketing, and then we're going to go into 5 ideas that are not advertising related. So the first, I'm actually lying, you're going to get a freebie here. If you are not doing any paid digital advertising, you should start doing so. Yes, digital advertising costs money. And I know in some cases, we have about 200 people on this call here. Some of you I might be preaching to the choir. Other of you, advertising in your organization might still be a little bit of like, oh, is that a dirty word? Is that something that corporations do? I'm here to beat the drum of digital advertising is a very effective tool for nonprofits to further their mission, to reach new donors, to reach new stakeholders, to reach potential recipients of your programs, depending on what type of programming that you deliver. So please consider doing paid digital advertising as a way to extend your reach. This is 2022. People spend 8 hours a day online. Can you believe that? 8 hours a day was the last stat that I saw. Incredible amount of time that people are spending on internet connected devices. So I'm going to start with 5 specific types of digital advertising ideas that I recommend. Oh yes, I see a couple of things in the chat here. So 1, this is being recorded. We will send it out. 2, it's a little bit easier for me to see questions submitted through the Q&A functionality rather than the chat, just because the chat's going to fly by really fast. So please, while you're welcome to use the chat as much as you want, please submit questions through the Q&A if you want me to make sure that I see them and can circle back to them. All right, so idea number 1, retargeting ads to your shopping cart abandoners. If you do one type of paid digital advertising, this is the type you should do. It is by far the best bang for your buck. Because in this case, we're borrowing an idea from online shopping, from the e-commerce world, right? Which is if somebody puts something in a shopping cart, they're clearly pretty close to buying that thing. For all kinds of different reasons, people might abandon their shopping cart. They might get distracted. They might lose internet. They might forget. They might have cold feet. But if they put something in a shopping cart, that's a pretty strong signal. What's the equivalent of that for you? Well, the most common example would be donation form abandonment. So people who start filling out an online donation form, for whatever reason, they don't finish it. Again, that could be anything from being distracted, not having their credit card, too many fields, getting frustrated because it loads slowly, all kinds of different reasons. So, but if people make it to your donate page, they're probably very interested in supporting your cause. So the most bang for your buck, if you're going to do any type of paid advertising, is run retargeting campaigns to bring these people back. So people who start filling out the donation form but do not actually submit, you can retarget them with ads that will follow them around the web. You can see a real example here from the C Total Conservancy. And it's a chance for you to make the ad a little bit funny, a little bit clever, specifically calling out the fact that you know that they were starting that process, right? Forget something, right? Come back to finish your donation. The sea turtles are waiting. Love this ad, right? So this is an example of retargeting someone as they're browsing the web, they're going to look up recipes, they're going on Facebook, wherever they're going, you can retarget that specific person or the set of people who started filling out that form. Those are the only people we'll see these ads. This is very cost efficient. You're only paying to reach people who made it to this step of the process. Another example here, you can see this is what it would look like on mobile, perhaps. So this is another real example. The International Justice Mission, slavery still exists. People clicking on their website, looking at their donate page, dropping out for whatever reason. Now on their phone, they're seeing ads. How many lives will you impact? Give today. So that's retargeting. People who abandon your shopping cart. And by the way, that doesn't only apply to donations. That's just the most straightforward example. People who start filling out an application for, say, a scholarship or awards or other types of programs that you have that require application. People who start signing up for an event, one of your fundraising events or one of your other types of events. These are other examples of shopping cart abandonment beyond donations. Okay, number 2, CRM retargeting, use it to reactivate previously active donor lists with ads. And so I'm drawing this distinction here. Site retargeting is what most people think of when they think of retargeting ads. People visit your website and they leave the website. Ads follow them around to bring them back to your website. That's called site retargeting. CRM retargeting, which is also called email mapping, also sometimes called customer list matching within Facebook, they call it. LinkedIn calls it matched audiences. Everyone has a different phrase for this. CRM retargeting is probably the most common one, where you're using an email list to find those people around the web, but then you're targeting them with ads. So you're not actually sending them emails, you're targeting them with ads. You're just using an email list as the way to find those people. This is a great 1-2 punch to do in conjunction with sending emails. So you can be sending emails to that same list, but there's a way you can also reach them with ads as a way to reactivate maybe those previous donors, as an example here. You're using that email list as a way to target them. Here's just an example of a campaign that I really liked, which was using email mapping or CRM retargeting to supercharge a local giving day. And so they were targeting their previous donors and recent donor lists, former volunteers, people who had attended previous events of theirs, even people who unsubscribed from their emails so they could no longer email them. They could still throw that list against an email matching tool and then target them with ads. And you could see these ads were all trying to boost awareness and drive action as part of their local giving day, in this case called the Amazing Give. So that's an example of how you can use CRM retargeting to reactivate different email lists and drive further action. Idea number 3, we're all still in advertising here. Geofence ads to the places where your donors live, work, and play. So geofencing is another way to show a targeted digital ad to somebody based on their physical location. And so you can see here, this is an actual screenshot of the user interface for launching this type of campaign, where you can literally drop pins or upload a list of multiple addresses and then draw a circle around those places. You can set how wide of a radius you would like. In this example here, which is in Gainesville, where Feathr is based, is drawing a circle around several high net worth neighborhoods, high income neighborhoods that are more expensive, with the premise that this is where people who have the disposable income to donate might live, or maybe they already have the data knowing that this is where a local nonprofit might know this is where many of their donors reside. And so they're going to do a geofencing campaign to reach others in those neighborhoods. So the ads will only be shown to people who are connected to the internet on a device, usually a mobile device, in these specific circles right here. And you can see these are shown up on mobile, maybe in apps, maybe on the mobile web, I've shown before. This is, again, a real example from an organization called Grace. Grace has the mission of ending homelessness here in Gainesville. This is a real campaign that they ran, geofencing some of the high net worth neighborhoods around Gainesville. So again, this is just a way to show ads to people based on physical location. Here are a couple other ideas for how you might target geofencing campaign. You can geofence country clubs, yacht clubs, golf courses, right? Where do people with disposable income hang out? Expensive neighborhoods, we already talked about. Churches, places of worship. So depending on your mission and your organization, what type of programs you have, if that aligns with a particular religion, perhaps you can target ads to people at their places of worship and where they gather for their religious practices. If you're trying to reach a younger audience, or if you're trying to reach a local audience and kind of dovetail off of a major local event or cultural events, you can geofence festivals, you can geofence concerts, you can geofence sporting events. And again, it's an opportunity to make your ads, your messaging, kind of related to the local sports team or related to the major event that just happened. Also a way, if you're trying to reach, again, specific demographics, if there's a music festival and that pulls a younger crowd and you're trying to engage more of a younger audience, this is a way you can do so. Similarly, university campuses. Again, this is more if you're trying to reach a younger audience, think about where those people spend their time. And this one is an interesting one. Other nonprofit fundraisers. Other nonprofits are doing the hard work of pulling all their donors in one place for a benefit concert, for a 5K walk or run, for a gala. You can geofence their events, and everybody who's at that event in that physical location will now see ads about your mission and why they should support your cause. So this is another kind of clever tactic that you can use if someone else has done the work of pulling a bunch of relevant people to you physically in person to one place. You can geofence that place and they will see ads from you. So geofencing, another way to show the right ad to the right person, just in this case, using physical location in a very narrow sense, specific buildings, specific city blocks, specific neighborhoods, usually reaching people on their mobile devices. We're going to keep rolling here. Idea number 4, take your paid social efforts beyond boosted posts. So I know I'd be curious to hear in the chat, but if you're doing any paid social, and in which case, which platforms you're most active on, one easy way to do paid social is to do what's called a boosted posts. I'm sure many of you know, where you have posts you're already doing on social media and organic posts, and then you have the option like, well, click this, put some money on it, and just that post will be shown to more people, right? Fairly straightforward. And that's a good place to start, right? Mostly because increasingly the social platforms do not reward organization pages for organic posting. They kind of curtail how much distribution you get. So this is an example from Grace, where they have about 5,000 followers, but their posts are typically only reaching 300 people or so. And even that, I think, is actually a reasonably high percent from what I've seen from other pages in terms of how many followers actually see the posts that they're putting out. But in this case, with a mere $50, they made sure that this post got a much wider distribution, right? 1,000 to 2,000 impressions with this post, right? So that was an example of how minimal effort, minimal money. Just if this was a post announcing something important, toss some money in and reach more people. That's great. Boosted posts are a great place to start. However, this suggestion is really taking it to the next step. In the case of Facebook, just to keep the Facebook example going, within the Facebook Ads Manager, doing what I would call real paid social advertising, you have so many more options when it comes to the targeting, when it comes to testing, when it comes to the different ad units. And so this is a screenshot here. But you could see some of the paid advertising that Feathr has done, promoting some of our thought leadership and case studies. And you can see of all the different ad placements, all the different things you can test, the text, different goals you can set, and that Facebook can optimize around. So boosting a post, good place to start to get more reach. But if you really want to get into paid social, you can unlock so much more capabilities by leaning into the Ads Manager when it comes to testing ad placements and different ways you can target and different ways you can measure goals. And that's the other thing too, measuring the outcome of your paid social, like setting a conversion target, having a specific goal and reporting against that. That's something that within a boosted post is far more limited, and it's harder to track the true ROI. So boosted posts are great for getting extra reach, but take it the next step further and actually set goals and targeting within the Facebook Ads Manager. Apply for the Google Ad Grant. For some of you, this is obvious. Hopefully, most of you already done this, but for anyone who has not, strongly suggest it. Google will give you free credits, essentially a certain amount of money per day and per month for a year to do paid search within Google without having to actually put additional money towards it. So as I'm sure you all know, paid search is this, right? So when someone searches, in this case, nonprofit supporting environmental conservation, we have the Nature Conservancy is showing up first as an ad. So paid search ads are the text ads that let you skip the line in a Google search page, and you show up first, kind of a paid result at the top of the page. And we've all seen these, we've all clicked these. You can apply through Google to get free money for this, essentially. It's something like $10,000 a month. It's a little bit more restricted than that. It's a daily amount, and there's caps on how you can spend it, and it takes a little bit of work to truly optimize it, but it is free. It is something you can utilize, even if you just want to do a small amount, just want to test. It's a way that you can do some paid search and allow you to skip the line and get to the front and the top of a paid search result or of a search result page without actually having to put any money towards it. And then maybe after playing around with some of your free credits from Google, you might consider to upgrade your paid search efforts and start putting some more meaningful budget towards it. But if you have not applied for the Google Ad Grant, again, free money to do paid search, strongly recommend you do so. All right, we are halfway done. We are the little engine that could. I'm going to pause here because I see lots of questions have been coming through. This is the break point, the first half being all digital advertising examples. The second half will be non-advertising related examples. So Rachel earlier on had asked, by paid advertising, do I mean ads on social media or elsewhere too? I think by now it's probably clear. Those are all different types, right? So display advertising is what I was showing at the beginning, which was the kind of classic banner ads that follow you from website to website, show up in mobile apps on your phone, right? That's called display advertising or banner advertising. Paid social refers to posts in the news feed that either are actual real social posts that you pay to boost, or with the ads, they look like they're social posts. They're in the same format, but actually they're dynamically inserted by advertising only. They don't actually exist anywhere as an organic post. So that's paid social. Paid social is the ones that are in the news feed looking like a post. And then paid search is the text ads. So hopefully that answers your question there, Rachel. Laura, are there legal and ethical concerns of tracking donors? Right, there's multiple answers to that. I would say, sure, there are definitely, first of all, there are some laws in place more so in other countries than the United States, but there are some in the United States too. So yes, there are certainly some laws in place governing privacy and usage of data. That does not preclude any of the activity mentioned here. Are there ethical concerns? I would say sure. Similarly, there's an ethical responsibility that we all have with any amount of privacy and data that we have. But again, does that preclude any activities here? I would certainly say no. All of us are being targeted all day, every day by brands, by other nonprofits, by organizations, right? This is happening to all of your potential donors are being targeted for, dozens or thousands of different things all day, every day. So you, as targeting them with something that's for a good cause, I would say is probably a better use of this technology than the most commonly used around it, which is more driving consumer behavior. So hopefully that answers your question there, Laura. Mary had wanted to target employers, organization that helps disabled individuals get you're trying to companies, make them aware of maybe either certain programs that you have or matching. I don't know if you have job matching services. I'm kind of making this up, but inferring from what you said there. But yes, geofencing is an excellent way to target specific companies because you can, in one campaign, you can upload a list where you can drop multiple pins of multiple different office buildings. And then as part of the same ad campaign, you can target all of them in parallel. So if you wanted to reach many employers and you had to maybe a hit list of the highest priority employers in a certain geographic area, yes, you could drop pins on their offices, kind of tightly scope that radius and geofence their office buildings to reach people at those companies. So that's a great idea, Mary, absolutely. I'm gonna do a couple more, and then we're gonna jump into the second half, and then hopefully we'll have a little bit of time at the end. Sally, you said you're a small nonprofit, utilize the free Google Ad Grant. Can you use the grants for targeted ads? Previously mentioned. Google Ad Grant is only for the text ads at the top of search results. So paid search is the only thing covered by the free credits from the Google Ad Grant. It cannot be used for like paid social on Facebook and the display advertising. So it is limited, but it's still useful. There's a lot more great questions coming in, but I'm going to hop back into the second half. So like I said, we're at a little end of the could, and we're going to keep going here. So idea number 6. A/B test your messaging with different landing pages. And so rather than have all of your ads, or for that matter, your email marketing or anything else you're doing, just always click through to your website, or even rather than click through to maybe a specific page that's already on your website, you can use a landing page builder to build kind of like standalone single page, microsites that are specifically optimized for whatever your call to action is, right? So if you have ads about donating, it can click through rather than clicking through to your main website, which has a lot going on. People might get distracted, a lot of different tabs they could click through to. You could have those ads click through to a specific microsite that's not connected to your main website. It's just information about why they should donate, matching the messaging in your ads to the donate button, and that's it, right? So that's an example of how you can build a landing page with a specific purpose, and you can use paid advertising or emails to direct people to that specific page rather than them directing to your website. And similarly, now once you're doing that, you have the option to say, well, maybe I'll make 2 different landing pages, and I'll send half the people to one and half the people to another and see which one performs. If you want to learn a little bit more about this topic, I linked to this, and we'll send out these slides afterwards. Next After has a fun blog post about this topic, and that's where I pulled this example from. It's a good one because if you look at these, you might guess, which of these do you think would perform better? I think conventional wisdom would say video. Everyone says video is great. This is more visually appealing. This is all text. But they ran this A/B test where, again, half the people were sent to one, half the people were sent to the other. And the all text landing page drove 560% more donations than the one with the video. So again, kind of bucking maybe a little bit of what one might expect there. You never would have known if you didn't test. So anytime you're doing a substantial investment, any kind of direct response effort or major appeal, it's a great idea to test with side by side 2 different landing pages, similar to how I'm sure many of you, when you send out emails, maybe you do an A/B test of the subject line or an A/B test of the email copy. If you're not doing that, you should do that too. Most email tools have that functionality built in, but it's kind of extending that concept out to not just the email, but what happens when they click the email, sending them to a different page and seeing which one drives more results. So A/B test your messaging with different landing pages. Number 7, use website analytics to reverse engineer the user journey. That could be the donor journey. It could be the applicant journey, depending on what kind of programs you offer. It could be the volunteer journey, right? You probably have multiple different user journeys on your website. whatever it is you're trying to drive people to do, and what do people end up taking action on when they come to your website, or what do they drop off? Where do they drop off in the process before taking action? Using website analytics, you can reverse engineer and see, what was that process. And there's kind of two ways you could do this. You could come at this from the aggregate. So for those of you who are Google Analytics nerds, you're very familiar with this, which is showing just kind of where is your site traffic coming from, right? And then Google has some more advanced stuff within there called, the paths, site paths, where you can see kind of like what are the most common of the people who came from this channel to this page, how many of them clicked this versus this is the next step. You kind of see on average, what do people do, or where are most of your site traffic coming from, or where do most people click once they land on your homepage. The other way you can do this is if you have a marketing automation tool, or depending on your donor CRM, this is what it looks like inside of Feathr. You can actually kind of come at it from individual website visitors. So this is an example of a person who converted, so they filled out a form and maybe signed and donated. So you have their contact info, and they're being tracked individually. And you can see, okay, on this day at this time, they saw this email. Before that, they visited this page, and they were coming from Chrome browser on a Mac computer, right? And before that, they saw this ad. And so you can actually look at like a specific set of donors, the people who actually converted through your website, online donors, the people who actually applied for your for your scholarship, whatever it might be. And then you can reverse engineer, well, how did this person get there? And just scroll back through all the actions they took. And how did that person kind of go one by one? And obviously, you can't do this for every single visitor to your site if you have thousands of website visitors, but you can probably do it for spot checking some of the people who make it to actually donate or actually convert for some other call to action. And just really by seeing step by step what did they do on the way there, that kind of helps you understand the layout of your website. Maybe again, see where do people get stuck or drop off in the process. So using website analytics, you can kind of see both on the whole where are people coming from and going, as well as you can unpack specific journeys of individuals. Better way to understand. All right, number 8. So this is more kind of like a tip rather than an actual marketing tactic, but you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can learn from people who do this and have put out a lot of great content for free. And so I'm just going to share some of my favorites here. Next After already links to one of their groups. They're like a consultancy, and Next After publishes the results of every single experiment that they do. So I think they like change the names, to protect their, clients' privacy. But all the experiments they do, they open source essentially on their website and say, this is what we did, this is what worked, this is what didn't. Right? Do More Good, awesome organization. They have Nonprofit Hub, which is like newsletters and content. Bill McKendry, one of the founders, is publishing a book about nonprofit marketing, which comes out later this month. They have a podcast. Dana Snyder, with Positive Equation, she has videos, she has courses, she has excellent content on social media, and she has a blog. So excellent source. Dana specifically focuses on like Facebook advertising and social media. We Are for Good, awesome organization. They started off as a podcast where they interview nonprofit experts around a variety of topics, but a lot of their content is around marketing. And then more recently, they just launched We Are for Good Pro, which is kind of like an all-you-can-eat subscription for $30 a month to expert videos from people like Dana and others, trainings, courses, kind of like as a Netflix style subscription. And then we at Feathr, we like to think that we put out some useful stuff too. Hopefully you agree if any of the things today so far have been helpful to you. So we do some webinars, we put out some content. We just launched a free guide that was the guide to digital advertising for nonprofits. So just some examples of some sources of knowledge that are putting out stuff for free or very low cost. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can learn from other people in the struggle too. Number 9, donate $1 to your organization. But seriously, like go through the process every step of the way to actually do it. Now, ask your dad to do it, ask your niece to do it. Boom, you got $3. No, I'm just kidding. So the point here is get, first of all, hands-on feedback. Like actually force yourself to do it. How many steps does it take? It's amazing how many folks have never actually gone through their own conversion flow. They're signing up for your newsletter or donating to your website, or try to go through and apply for one of your grants or one of your programs, and actually try to experience it from what does the user journey feel like, and then try to get some feedback on it. Right. My real point there is like get multi-generational feedback, get feedback from folks of varying levels of digital savvy. And some of the things to pay attention to is how quickly does a website load? Is it easy to find your donate page or your application page, your programs information? How many fields are required for any of these submissions? Is it few, or is it very tedious to fill out? How many total clicks does it take start to finish for any given user journey, for your donate journey or for your volunteer journey? How long does that take? Put a timer on, try it. And then try it from different devices, right? Try it on an Android device instead of an iPhone. Try it on an older phone versus a newer one. Try it on a weaker internet connection, right? Walk far away from your Wi-Fi to the point that it's like barely working. See what happens, right? Go somewhere indoors with poor signal on your phone and try it again there, not just somewhere where you have 100 megabits per second or something like that. So really try to like go through that journey, get other people to go through the journey, and really try to understand, is it as easy and streamlined as you might like to think that it is, or is it in fact a little more complicated? And number 10, treat email marketing as a performance channel, right? And I say this because I think most commonly, particularly in the nonprofit world, we see email being used primarily as kind of like communications, right? And that's great, that's important. You have newsletters, and maybe you're kind of making announcements and kind of sending out generic email blasts. But often, the feedback we've received is that nonprofit marketing and communications folks are not treating email as truly like a performance marketing channel. They're not measuring conversions and the results of email marketing. They're kind of just using it as like, put it out there, email blast. And that's great. Communications, again, is an important part of any overall marketing strategy. But by treating email more like a performance channel, you really hold yourself accountable to what was the purpose of this email. Was the purpose to drive clicks? Was the purpose to drive donations? Was the purpose to drive, some kind of other action related to a new program that you might be launching? Whatever it might be, was the purpose to drive people to read your annual report? Can you track on the annual report page how long people spend on that page that were driven by this email? So you can actually see if the goal was to get people to watch a video, did they actually finish the video? Combine the email tracking with the analytics on the website to see if the goal was to get people to watch the video, how much of the video did they actually watch? If the goal was to get people to read the report, how far into the report did they actually get before exiting? So by treating email marketing as an actual performance channel, and hold yourself accountable to conversions, right? Have a goal. This is a screenshot of what email marketing looks inside of Feathr. And you can see how many people opened it, how many unique people opened it, how many people clicked, how many unique people clicked, how many conversions were driven, who were those conversions. I've changed these names to protect privacy, but this is otherwise a real example. Who were the actual people who engaged with the email, who converted, whether that conversion was driving a donation or otherwise, right? So this is a change of mindset around how email marketing is treated as a channel that I strongly encourage everybody to do. So we're all marketers here, and I think everyone can appreciate that my marketing team would kill me if I didn't launch this poll right here, which is, are any of you interested in a demo of Feathr? If you're interested, say yes, and we will follow up with you, and we can schedule a demo if you want to learn a little bit more about our software and our services. If not, certainly no pressure. Regardless, we'd love to hear feedback of how you thought today's webinar was or wasn't helpful. Did it hit the mark? Was it too much content? Was it too shallow, too advanced? We'd love to hear. So while this poll is up, I will stick around for about 2 or 3 more minutes. I know we're at time here. I do appreciate all of you spending 30 minutes of your time with us here today, and I'll answer a couple of more of these questions that came in while this poll is up. Sarah Curtis, you asked suggestion about a small statewide organization. How much should you invest in paid marketing when getting started? That's a tough subjective answer to know how small is small, and what is the annual budget. So what I will say is you can get significant bang for your buck with the paid digital advertising, right? You don't need thousands of dollars to start doing this. You can start with a few $100s. You can start with just retargeting the people who started to fill out your donation page, right? Things like that, the lowest hanging fruit. Just retarget people who are already interested. So you can start this type of activity with a very small budget, and perhaps from there build, show some results, get some early learnings, and then once you have done some tests, then maybe you can make a case for a larger swath of the budget. Also, I know many folks are still spending significant amounts of money on direct mail. Direct mail is quite expensive, and in terms of reach, it's significantly more affordable to just put some of that money towards digital advertising. So maybe if you have a large budget for direct mail, can you take a small piece of it and do some tests and start building up a case for doing more digital advertising? And that's a common way that we see folks begin that transition if you already have a budget for some type of paid marketing.